National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has rescued a 16-year-old domestic worker who was allegedly scalded with hot water by her employer in the Gwarinpa area of Abuja. According to a statement posted on NAPTIP's official Facebook page on Friday, the agency acted following a distress call from neighbors who witnessed the assault. The victim, an indigene of Imo State and the 8th of 12 children, was hired to care for her employer's 3 children, including 2-month-old twins and a 7-year-old boy. Neighbors rushed her to a nearby hospital before contacting NAPTIP, which immediately intervened. Reports indicate that the girl was deliberately doused with hot water by her employer. Alert neighbors quickly moved her to a medical facility and notified NAPTIP, prompting a rapid rescue operation, the agency has confirmed. NAPTIP has launched a full-scale investigation and promised that the perpetrators will be punished. The case adds to a disturbing trend of domestic violence cases in Nigeria involving hot water attacks, which have left victims with life-threatening injuries or even led to fatalities in recent years. Usually when we talk about domestic violence, many people think it's a dispute between spouses, and all of those. What are your thoughts on this report?
So many things in that story set the bell ringing in my head.
Right.
The number of children from the victim's family, 12. That's something in today's. I mean, in a system where those with small families are finding it difficult to cope. Talk of somebody. I mean, if I even talk of people having large family, it would have probably been difficult for me to imagine a large family to get to 12 number. That's a dozen. That's more like, if they were home, it would have been like the 12th tribe of Israel. More than a football team.
Right.
So this, you see, raises more questions than one. There are many issues that we still grapple with in these countries. In a system where the economic system makes it difficult for even those earning well and with a small family to live comfortably. Talk of somebody who's probably not earning well, having 12 children. So it says something. Questions like, issues like family planning. I don't know where the government stopped about that. There was a time it used to be, there seems to be a campaign about it. I mean, as children, even without knowing what family planning was, the word wasn't completely strange to us. So I think even it shouldn't just be a city campaign for those living in the city, even those living in rural areas. Yes, you probably still live with the belief that the God that gave you yam will give you the knife to cut it. So the God that gave children will provide what it takes to train them. Now, and this is not disputing the place of God, that God will not provide for you, but I'm trying to be careful with words now, but it also suggests that as a person, you have a responsibility to play. I mean, with raising children, it is not the more the merrier.
Back in the day, you'd agree that many people had a dozen or more, like you said. Many people had more children, 15.
That was a different era.
That was a different era because then children were had maybe to go to, join the family in farming.
Absolutely.
And all of that and help around, which, if you look at it now, is...
and the demand to take care of them. I mean, you could take care of your family with everything that comes from your farm. You didn't need...
Exactly.
Probably you didn't need to buy televisions. The few things you needed to buy, maybe clothing and, clothing.
Oh, and the dresses were usually passed down.
Absolutely,
so, right.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, when you look at it like that, and you're just talking about family planning, and probably our voices aren't being amplified enough. I had a guest, I think it was last week, come on the show, and he did mention that oftentimes poor people have more children because that's the only way they know how to relax. Right. Do you think that could be a situation that leads people to having many children? This girl was probably sent all the way from Imo State to Abuja to cater for 16, a set of twins, and a 7-year-old. And Do you think it's because her family could not just afford to keep her at home, maybe to give her an education, to take care of her? That is why this was done.
Yes, that's actually part of it. I'm talking about poor people giving more children, giving birth to more children because they don't have. That's the only way they know to relax. That seems to be the truth. But in terms of relaxing, if that is the only way, I wouldn't want to, tell people not to relax through sexual affairs, especially for couples who are married. Like I would always say, I'm not one to regulate people's, private life and all those. But one can suggest as much as you want to relax, in today's world, knowing that relaxation also comes with the consequences, which, I always tell people in today's world, the concept of unwanted pregnancy should be minimized as much as possible. Because unlike in the past, that, you just had no option than to have sex. Now, if you must have sex, you have ways of going about it that the end product must not be the creation of a new human being. I mean, they are, from the basic use of condom and other contraceptives you can use. So that's why maybe campaign also comes in knowledge is beyond the poverty. I think it's also there is also the place of knowledge. If that family knows that they can have they can have their conjugal affairs and have some contraceptive around them to avoid having more children than they planned for. Maybe it could also help them. Then also, I think, this issue of, if you look at the age of this child, she's 16. 16.
Right.
That's a minor. I think we also should also tighten our noose on issues of labor.
How do we get to tighten, which was you're not bringing me, going fully into the story. How do we get to tighten the news on child labor? Because her parents were probably not forced. The parents are adults, but the parents did give their consent. So because this is not an isolated case, several cases of this.
It doesn't matter whether it was consensual or not. If the law says this is wrong and goes ahead to implement it, it may not stop it, but it would reduce it. And there are ways to know. Sometime ago, I noticed that you find immigration officers along the road, interviewing travelers, especially underage, knowing where you're going to, who you are going to, and all that. Probably stop some of those, more like nipping it in the bud. I think we can also, it also comes to enlightenment. People should also be enlightened to know that. I mean, there are a whole lot of challenges and dangers that come with having an underage child in your care that is not your own child, forced labor. Apart from the fact that, apart from the issues of abuse, even where a child is taken care of, we have had cases where some of these children got pregnant. So, for me, if you ask me, I would suggest that anybody that needs help, if you can't take care of your family, which is not out of place, I mean taking care of them in terms of meeting the domestic need, not financial need now, but it's understandable given where we are today in the world, people go to work and all those things. It's better you employ somebody who is of age.
So do you think that if we had a regulatory agency that you can, the way in more civilized climes, you sign up for a nanny or a help assistant through an agency, right? You hardly have access to, sometimes in some countries you have the Mexican doing this, different people from different...
We have recruitment agencies even in Nigeria, but those recruitment agencies themselves, you see, it also goes to how we handle things in this country. How are those people... Is there a monitoring from the government? The government may not be the one doing all the recruitment for everybody, but those recruitment agencies, is there a monitoring for them? When you talk of recruitment agencies, apart from the issues of underage and the abuse, even those recruited by them, there is a whole lot of sharp practices that goes with most of these recruitment agencies. Only a few of them act with humane, are humane in the way they deal with the employees, in the way they train them. For them, it's just a business and nothing more. They don't care about the humans that they forward, that they send forth for people to work. So I think there's a whole lot we need to do about childcare a nanny. Maybe it's something that should even attract, at this point, I think it should have even attracted the interest of lawmakers if they are interested. Some of these things can be properly, it may not be easy, but you can have a system that would, check this, that will make it difficult for people to have underage working for them. I mean, if there is a consequence, if people know that there is a consequence, but here we don't have such consequences. The only consequences come when there is an abuse, especially abuse that is like most of the times they are abused, but nobody says anything. The neighbors don't care, except in situations
like this.
Yeah. If that abuse was maybe the child was beaten, sent outside to sleep for a few hours, not properly fed, everybody will feel like it's okay and move on. But the thing is that beyond the abuse, the most important abuse most of these people go through is there is a permanent wound, not physical wound, a psychological wound that is embedded into their mind, that tomorrow, some of them, even if they make fortune, there is still this thing about them. It's as if it has been ingrained in their system that this is your place in society. And this is something that should give everybody some concern.
Right, now let's talk about, we have the Child Rights Act, Violence Against People Prohibition, and all of this. We have the laws that are supposed to be guiding, especially young people like this. These perpetrators that carried out this act, how many times have we followed through to know the eventuality of these cases to act as a deterrent to other people? When this has happened, this lady wasn't named. There are no images to show that this is the exact person. And oftentimes this just slips through like one of those discussions. Prosecution, it's not seen like the way you see certain cases that you see that, okay, this person is currently in court. If you remember clearly, the man that killed that lady in Abuja, the gospel artist, it was open to show that, okay, he has now been sentenced to death, even though the action itself has not been carried out. But that was kind of like an open investigation. You can say, okay, someone asks me about that case just now as a person. I'll say, oh, he's been sentenced to death already. The man that killed Salome has been sentenced. Why don't we have that sort of prototype and blueprint in cases like this, where you actually see, you get to know what happens to this person? So somebody will be like, okay, other than the fact that there is now a law saying prohibiting us from employing young people, if this happens and such a thing happens to that person in your custody, this is going to be your reward. Do you think?
I would always be one calling, advocating that, it's not enough for justice to be done, but justice must be seen to have been done.
Right.
Where you don't do justice secretly, you do it. The idea of it is not necessarily to expose the criminal or whatever that that was against the law, but is to send a strong message to society that, see, there's always a consequence. If people know that this is what would happen to me, this is the end goal, this is the end of it. If I do this thing, if I'm caught, people would be more cautious in what they do. Now, to the why is I think also the media have to do more in following up some of these issues as stories are developing.
Given how long we have awaiting trials.
You see, I think it's something, a particular case. You may not follow up all the cases, but there may be some cases that probably will interest a particular media house, a particular journalist, a particular anchor, and feel like, okay, this matter, I'm going to follow it up to the end, and you keep following. It may take long, you may not follow it, you may not give a report on it every day, but periodically, and it will require some work also, making the right contact to know who is in charge, so you can periodically put a call. At times, maybe you put a call, your call is not taken, you persist that you must know how this matter ends. So that would also help. Then there are agencies like NAPTIP, which is a government agency, but there's other agencies like civil societies can also take it upon themselves. If matters like, if I'm a civil society that my thematic area includes rescuing children that has been abused, and this type of issues come up, I can say, okay, let's even follow this matter up and see. Like I said, you may not follow up every matter, but by the time even people know that you have a record of tracking issues, they would know that, oh, if I do this thing, this body would never let me go until the matter is settled.